Somewhere in your phone right now, there's a charge you've stopped noticing. $40, maybe $50, quietly slipping out of your account on the same day every month, going to a building you have physically walked into twice. You signed up in January. You went hard for about 2 weeks. You bought the water bottle, you took the mirror selfie, and then somewhere around week 3, life happened, and the membership just kept going. It's still going. Which means that at this exact moment, sitting here watching this, you are paying for a gym you are not at. And I need you to sit with the next part because it flips the whole story. That is not you failing the gym. That is the gym working precisely as designed. The modern gym does not make most of its money from the people sweating on the treadmill. It makes it from the people who meant to. So tonight we're going to do the thing this channel does. We're going to follow your $50 out of your account, past the bored teenager at the front desk, what it actually pays for, item by item, until there's not $1 left doing something vague. And then the quiet, slightly uncomfortable secret the entire business is built on, which is that the whole beautiful machine only works if most of you stay home. Once you see how this really runs, you are never going to look at that little monthly charge the same way again. And I promise you, by the end, you'll understand your own treadmill better than you do right now. Let's start with a number that should not be legal. Your gym has too many members. And I don't mean it's crowded at 6 p.m. and someone's doing curls in the squat rack. I mean physically, mathematically, impossible too many. Take the biggest chain in the country. On average, one of its clubs signs up somewhere around 7,000 members. Now go look at the actual building. It's about 20,000 square feet. And by normal fire code and elbow room math, a room that size holds maybe 200-300 people at once before it stops being a gym and becomes a lawsuit. So do the arithmetic no membership desk will ever do for you out loud. 7,000 members. Room for 300. If even 1 in 5 of them showed up on the same Monday, there would be no treadmill, no bench, no floor to lie on. There would be a fire marshal and possibly a stampede. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's just overbooking. Airlines do that. And yes, airlines overbook by a few percent, and every so often it goes wrong and someone gets famously dragged off a plane. Your gym is not overbooked by a few percent. Your gym is overbooked by about 2,000%. If a restaurant took 7,000 dinner reservations for a dining room with 300 chairs, we'd call that fraud and someone would go to jail. The gym does the exact same thing, and we call it a New Year's resolution. The only reason there isn't a nightly riot at the leg press machine is that the gym is quietly, confidently counting on almost all of you to not come. Hold on to that, because it's the whole episode. But first, let's do the honest part nobody actually shows you. Where does your $50 physically go? Because it does not vanish into some fat owner's pocket lighting cigars with your money. Let's actually follow it. First, and biggest, the room itself. Somebody owns that giant box, and rent on a 20,000 square foot space in a shopping plaza is a monster that shows up on the first of every month whether one person came or 1,000 did. For a typical gym, rent and staff together swallow around 70% of everything that comes in the door. Rent by itself is often 10 to 20 cents of every dollar you pay. So call it $7, $8 of your 50, gone before anyone even says good morning. Spent purely to keep a roof over an empty squat rack and a parking lot, the size of a small farm. Next, the people, and this is actually the single biggest slice, even bigger than the rent. The kid who scans your card. The trainers. The class instructor counting burpees at 6 a.m. The crew that wipes down the machines and mops the locker room at midnight after you've all gone home. Payroll at a gym commonly runs somewhere between 35 and 50 cents of every dollar. So of your 50, maybe 20 whole dollars is just humans. Humans who have to be there whether the floor is packed or a ghost town, because you can't staff a building based on who happened to feel inspired that morning. Then the stuff you actually came for, the equipment. And those aren't the little machines from a home store, they're commercial grade. They cost thousands of dollars each. They get financed like cars, and they wear out fastest under the handful of people who actually use them. Add the utilities, and pay attention to this one because it's quietly poetic. The lights, the music, and above all, the air conditioning, cooling a giant open room. All day long, most of which is empty most of the time. Let that land for a second. Part of your $50 every month is spent air conditioning a room you are not standing in. You are paying to keep your absence comfortable. Equipment plus power, call it another $8, $9 of your $50. And then the sneaky line item. Marketing. A slice of your money every single month goes to ads, to billboards, to that relentless New Year, New You campaign that appears the second the calendar flips. And the reason that line even exists is the first real clue about how this business actually thinks. Because gyms bleed members like a screen door on a submarine. The industry loses somewhere between a third and half of all its members every single year, and half of all brand new signups are gone within 6 months. So the gym is sprinting up a down escalator. It has to spend real money constantly buying the next batch of hopeful strangers to replace the last batch that quietly ghosted. Which means, and I love this, part of your $50 right now is being spent to recruit the person who is going to replace you when you quit. So let's tally the honest scoreboard. Rent for the room, wages for the people, machines and the power to hum them along, ads to replace the quitters, and after all of that, a normal gym keeps a profit margin of around 10 to 15 cents on the dollar. More if it's a fancy boutique with a smoothie bar, less if it's barely hanging on. Which all sounds like a perfectly ordinary, slightly stressed out small business. Except it does not explain the thing we started with. Because if the room is that expensive and the people are that expensive, and the machines are that expensive, how on earth is the membership only 10, 20, 50 bucks? A single hour with a personal trainer costs more than a whole month of the building. So how is a month of everything so absurdly cheap? Here's the answer, and it is the entire secret of the episode. The price is that low because they sold it to thousands of people who are never going to come. Go back to that impossible math. The rent, the staff, the power, all those enormous fixed bills, they do not get split among the 300 people actually using the place. They get split among all 7,000 names on the list. The gym takes its giant fixed cost and spreads it across an enormous crowd of members, most of whom are, at this very moment, horizontal on a couch somewhere. The people who never show up are not a problem the gym tolerates. They are the customers the entire price is built on top of. You, on your couch, paying $50 for nothing, are not the gym failing to sell you fitness. You are the best customer they have. You cost them almost nothing. You take up zero space and you pay like clockwork. And if that sounds like some evil new invention, it isn't. You already live inside this exact machine somewhere else, and once I name it, you'll never unsee it. It's insurance. Think about how insurance works. Everybody pays a premium every month. Almost nobody files a claim in any given month, and the company can charge each person a small, comfortable amount precisely because it's collecting from a giant crowd while paying out to a tiny one. Your gym is running the identical trick. It is quite literally health insurance for your body, sold to a huge pool of people, priced on the beautiful assumption that most of you will never actually make a claim on the treadmill. Same machine, new paint. Which brings us to the real question. Why do the no-shows keep paying? Why don't the millions of people who never go just cancel? And to answer that, we have to talk about the single most valuable thing the gym is actually selling, and it is absolutely not fitness. When you signed up, you were not buying a gym. You were buying a superhero. A future version of you who wakes up at 5:40 in the morning, drinks something green, and genuinely enjoys it. And here is the tender, universal truth this entire industry runs on. So let me say it gently. Future you is a liar. Lovingly, hopefully, a liar. Future you has never once come back and finished the dishes present you left in the sink. But we believe future you every single time, because future you is incredibly convincing. In the parking lot on January 2nd, wearing brand new shoes. And I don't say that as an insult. I say it as measured, peer-reviewed, published fact. Two economists, Stefano Della Vigna and Ulrika Malmendier, got their hands on the real attendance records of actual gyms and matched them against what people actually paid. and what they found became one of the most famous studies in all of behavioral economics. People who signed up for the monthly all-you-can-sweat membership went, on average, only about 4 times a month. 4. Which meant they were effectively paying more than $17 every time they walked in. At a gym that also sold a 10-visit pass for $10 a visit, they could have paid half. They looked at their own future, saw a person who was going to basically live at the gym, chose the plan for that person, and then that person never showed up. Over the life of the membership, the average one of them threw away around $600. Not because they were foolish, because they believed in a version of themselves who was going to go. The gym, in the most literal accounting sense, is selling you a bet on your own willpower. And it has studied the odds far more carefully than you have. Now watch how lovingly the whole business is engineered around that one bet. Ever notice how the gym practically throws its doors open in January? Something like 1 in 8 of all yearly signups happen in that single month, the great annual flood of resolutions. And the gym adores January. But not, and this is key for the reason you'd assume, it is not thrilled about all the people who are finally going to get fit. It is thrilled about all the people who are going to loudly promise to prepay for a whole year of it and evaporate by Valentine's Day. January is not a fitness event. It is the single biggest sale of the year on a product almost nobody uses. It's Black Friday for good intentions. And be honest with me for a second, because you already have the physical evidence in your own home. Somewhere in your house right now is a piece of exercise equipment that has quietly become furniture. The treadmill that is now a very sturdy place to hang shirts. The stationary bike that transformed into a $2,000 towel rack the exact moment the free trial of motivation ran out. The yoga mat rolled up in the corner judging you. You already know exactly how this ends because you've done it in miniature at home with your own money. The gym just figured it out at industrial scale and built a business on it. And then comes the part that finally gives the whole game away. What happens when one of those ghosts finally works up the nerve to stop paying? They discover that signing up took about 30 seconds in one thumb, but canceling requires a certified letter, or driving down there in person, or a phone call to a number that is mysteriously always busy, always understaffed, always able to keep you on hold exactly long enough to give up. That asymmetry is not sloppiness. Easy to start, hard to stop, is a deliberate design choice, and it is so common in this industry that regulators at the FTC specifically came after gyms over it. The friction is not a bug. The friction is a revenue stream. Every extra week you can't quite face the cancellation gauntlet is one more payment for a room you are not in. So now we can finally give this thing its real name, because accountants and economists have one word for exactly this: money collected for something that is paid for and never used. They call it breakage. And you know, breakage in your bones, you just never had the word for it. It's the $12 gift card in your junk drawer that will outlive you. It's the free trial you swore on your life you'd cancel before it charged you, and are now somehow a loyal 3-year subscriber to. It's the language app that sent a passive-aggressive cartoon owl to guilt you for 2 weeks until you both quietly gave up. It's the meal kit boxes stacking up unopened by the door. Breakage is the entire economy of good intentions, and your gym might be the purest, most beautiful breakage machine ever built. Because, unlike a gift card, it never even expires. It just quietly renews itself, month after month, a subscription to the person you keep hoping you'll become. To really put a number on it, here's how big the ghost army is. By some industry estimates, around 2/3 of gym members rarely or never actually use their membership. And Americans hand over well over $1 billion a year collectively for gym access they simply never touch. $1 billion for nothing, for the option of fitness. That's not a rounding error hiding in the business. In a very real sense, that is the business. But we're still not done following the money because there are 2 more players getting paid in the story, and I'd bet you've never met either one. Player 1. That gym you actually walk into? A lot of the time, the brand on the sign doesn't even own it. It's a franchise. owned by some local business person, and the giant company whose name is on the wall makes money off that owner in two ways you never see from the treadmill. First, it takes a royalty, a permanent cut of the club's revenue, around 7% right off the top, forever, just for the logo. And second, the part that genuinely made my jaw drop when I found it. One of the parent company's biggest businesses is selling the exercise equipment to its own franchisees. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars a year just selling treadmills and benches to the very gym owners flying its flag. So the brand's single most important customer isn't you, red-faced on the elliptical, it's the owner who had to buy the elliptical. You think you're the customer, you're the scenery. Player 2 is even stranger because sometimes the person paying for your gym isn't you at all. It's your health insurance company or your employer. Programs like Silver Sneakers, wired through Medicare plans and corporate wellness benefits, pay gyms to carry their members across more than 17,000 locations. And why on earth would an insurer pay for your gym? Partly it's a real honest bet that a healthier you files fewer expensive claims down the road. But partly, and you can see this coming now, it's the exact same trick, just one floor up. The insurer pays the gym a flat monthly rate for you whether you ever set foot inside or not. So if you don't go, it's cheap for them too. Which means everyone in this entire tower, the front desk, the franchise brand, and now your insurance company, is quietly, politely rooting for the identical outcome. That you stay home. You are the most beloved no-show in a building full of people betting against you. So who's the villain here? And this is where I have to be honest with you, because the answer is nobody, really. The equipment is real, the trainers are real, and the great ones genuinely change lives. And here's the thing that makes it almost beautiful. The people who actually do show up are getting an incredible deal. A whole building of expensive machines and hot showers and climate control for the price of 2 movie tickets, and they can afford that price precisely because thousands of ghosts are quietly covering the rent for them. The gym isn't a scam. It's just a business that discovered its single most profitable product is a promise you make and don't keep, and then very carefully designed everything. The low price, the 30-second sign-up, the certified letter cancellation, to keep that broken promise alive and paying for as long as humanly possible. Oh, and one more pocket, because the gym isn't only betting on your absence. There's a second, richer vein, and it comes from the small, sweaty crowd who actually do come. Because the moment you're motivated, you are also, economically speaking, ripe. That's exactly when the personal training package materializes, the one that quietly costs more per month than the membership itself. The protein shakes at the counter, the special transformation challenge with an entry fee, the upgraded tier with the massage chairs and the tanning bed you'll use once. The few who show up get gently, expertly upsold, while the many who don't quietly pay the overhead. The gym, it turns out, makes money coming and going. Literally. And if this whole pattern is starting to feel familiar, it should, because you've been watching this channel hunt down its cousins for weeks. Remember the movie theater where the $9 popcorn quietly held your ticket price down? Remember the DoorDash order where the real profit was hiding one line above the food, wearing a little gray sponsored tag? Same family, brand new costume. Here, the great crowd who won't show up is quietly holding the price down for the few who will. And if you go all the way back to that Costco hot dog, losing $1.50 on purpose forever, just to keep you paying the membership, you already know the shape of this. Once you can see it, you cannot stop seeing it. The printer that's suspiciously cheap because the ink costs more than perfume. The streaming service you're still paying for and haven't opened since a show you finished last spring. The gift card in the kitchen drawer worth precisely what you will never spend. So here at last is where your $50 actually went. All of it, no hand-waving. $7 or $8 for rent on a room you weren't standing in. Around $20 for people you never spoke to. $8 or $9 for machines you didn't touch and air conditioning you didn't feel. A few dollars of ads out hunting for the next hopeful you. 7 cents on the dollar riding off to a logo bolted to the wall. And the fattest, quietest, happiest dollar in the entire chain? Pure profit. earned on the cold, dark mornings you swore you'd go, and didn't. You did not buy fitness. You bought the option to become fit, and then, like almost every single one of us, you let that option expire, one automatic payment at a time. But here is the good news, and it is the only part of this whole story that's genuinely free. Unlike the movie ticket, unlike the burrito, this one has an off switch, and it belongs entirely to you. You don't have to outsmart the machine. You just have to do the one thing it is quietly betting you won't. Go or cancel. Redeem the gift card or stop buying it. That's the entire move. Because the one outcome this whole beautiful tower is silently praying for is that you keep doing neither. Forever. If following the money like this rewired something in your head, good. That is the entire mission of this channel. I take the ordinary stuff you pay for on autopilot, the burrito, the movie ticket, the membership, and I drag the machine out into the light so you can finally see who's really getting paid. In plain English, no lecture, no jargon. Every week we pick another price tag and we follow the money. So if you want to know where your money actually goes next, subscribe and come along. It honestly helps more than you'd think, and it tells me you want more of these. Thanks for spending a little of your evening with me. And I'll go easy on you. I won't ask when you last went to the gym. I'll see you at the next price tag.